Behind every great sports field and running track is something most people never think about: the machinery that builds and maintains it. The equipment that constructs the surface, grooms the turf, resurfaces the track, and keeps a facility performing season after season. Today, I'm talking with Steve Pizzi, the general manager of SMG Machines USA, the American operation of the global leader in machinery for the construction and maintenance of fields and tracks. What makes Steve's perspective interesting is where he came from. Before running SMG's US business, he was an athletic director, the guy on the other side of the equation, actually running facilities and living with the consequences of good and bad equipment decisions. We'll talk about that transition, what the US operation looks like today, why the right machinery matters more than most programs realize, and where SMG is headed over the next few years. Let's get into it. So, how's it going, Steve?
It's going good, Antti. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. So you are the general manager of SMG in the US, but you come from an athletic director background, if I'm not completely incorrect. So what was that transition like, and what brought you to SMG?
That's a good question. Yeah. So I'm the general manager for SMG Machines Corporation here in the United States, and that also includes North America for certain products that we sell here, mostly for track. My background was in collegiate athletics for almost 25 years. And I started off in facility and event operations. And I worked at a lot of different schools like Villanova University, the University of Colorado, and got to do a lot of different capital projects as my career progressed. So besides being in charge of the daily operations and the event operations for, large basketball games or football games with, 50 plus thousand people, and coordinating everything that has to go into that game. Besides the game operations, the security, ticket taking, everything. The capital projects piece to my career was really one of the funnest parts of my job, because I got to work on things that either needed to be refurbished, like a locker room renovation, or add like a new scoreboard, or indoor practice facility, or renovation for an ice rink. So a lot of different components to a facility renovation, but working with engineers and architects and understanding their specifications for those projects was always a challenging but rewarding part of a project, because you got to see something come full fruition to its completion. Being a facility or event manager in collegiate athletics, you're not really working with the student athletes every day. Some other departments maybe, but when you're doing a project or working on an event, that's how you got to impact their experience and try to make it better for them, which is really the core value of collegiate athletics, is the collegiate experience for the student athletes. After I decided to leave collegiate athletics, I took a few months off and just decided to explore some options. When you work in college athletics, you're working sometimes 80 hours a week, it's nights and weekends. So being a family man and having young children, I decided that it was the time to take a break and just find a different career path. And I knew my skill set was really diverse with a lot of different experiences. And I ended up joining with a sport contractor, field builder in the New England area. And I did a few things for them over the last few years. I worked on project management. I helped on bids for their projects. I ran their synthetic turf maintenance division, and I did a few other things for them, but mostly was sales and just really learning how to approach customers and help them understand why synthetic turf maintenance was really needed for their facility, or if there was something else, like if it was a safety netting piece to a field that needed to be added, or if it was a larger field that was going out to bid. But from a lot of different sales angles, that's what I was helping the company that the previous employer that I was helping out with. And then this opportunity came to me with SMG Machines. And as I mentioned before, being in college athletics for so many years and working on projects or with a maintenance company that might have been doing maintenance on our synthetic turf field, I knew the machines.
Right.
The Sport Champ is literally one of our most popular machines all across the world. If you don't know what a SMG Sport Champ is, or if you've never seen one, then maybe you need to pay attention a little bit when you're out in the field doing your job. But so when the opportunity came up, I was really excited because I knew the machine company, I knew the reputation and the value to the brand worldwide. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is a job that I can hop into. I can learn the machines. I can learn the customer base because similar to my background, but it's a little bit different with working with contractors as opposed to all folks in collegiate athletics. So that's been fun and really challenging because we're a new company. We're set our birthday in February, right? So we're a year and a few months old, but other than that, it's really fun. I love the people I work with. I love the customers we work with, and I love the folks in Germany and across the world that I get to meet and talk to. It's a really interesting part of the job because I've never had that chance to do something like that before. So it's really fun.
And you mentioned that SMG is new in the US, but the brand is not new in the US, right? Like you have
Correct.
if
Correct.
the machines might be used for a long time at facilities across the country, right? Or
Yeah. So we had a distributor in the United States for a long time, very good relationship with them, but it made a little bit more sense for their headquarters to have a subsidiary here in the United States. And we created a location in Dalton, Georgia. And that's where our headquarters is. So we have a facility here with all our new machines. We have a great staff here. We have a massive parts inventory. So if a customer calls us up or emails us and says, I need a part for a TCA 1400, we can ship it out to them that day if they need it. So really the location and having the service element of our business based here in Dalton is one of our most important priorities because it really, our machines are great, but if our customers need something, it's important for us to help them out as soon as we possibly can because they cannot stop moving. They have to keep moving so they can do their job, be successful with their business plan. And that's really what we strive to do. The other part about being in Dalton, Georgia is that, it's a synthetic turf capital for the United States, right? This is where all the synthetic turf is made. And we have
yeah,
a lot of great relationships with the companies that are down here. So being at their disposal when they need something, if they need a machine, we're here. If they need a repair to a machine, we're here. If they need parts, they can just swing by. We're here. So it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of correlations there, and it's been a short tenure so far, but it's been really nice.
yeah, I can imagine. So working at different colleges and also in that field construction company, did you come across SMG machines already there, or
Yeah, on the daily. So the previous company I worked for, we had 2 sport champs, and that was the inventory that we used to do synthetic turf maintenance for our customers. And in the past, I've done a lot of track projects, and definitely have seen our pavers and mixers at those job sites and a few other places along the way. So it's the brand, the red machines for turf, green machines for track. I've seen them for many years, and now I know I'm going to see him for many years to come.
yeah, that must have prepared you well for the role now at SMG to have that experience in different places before you took the current role. So
Yeah, and it gave me the confidence in the job that I was being asked to do. And as I mentioned before, when I came across the position and it was SMG, I was like, okay, this is a real company with value and brand recognition, not just here in the United States but worldwide. And it was a good opportunity for my family and I. So I'm very blessed to be here every day. I wake up happy to go to my job. So it's awesome.
right. And how does your experience from the other side, from the facility side, come up in your day-to-day work today in SMG?
It comes up down, my experience in collegiate athletics with facilities and even event management is completely applicable to this role and the resources that I can provide, not just the rest of our staff, because they have amazing experiences and resources they can provide to our customers as well. But from a problem solving standpoint, I've always been a problem solver. So when things come up, I help navigate where I need to and, help solve what the customers need. But when they're talking to me, it's not like a foreign language because, maybe I didn't have those experiences, but I did. So when they're telling me the projects they're working on or the problem that they need solved, my background is really diverse and applicable to help solve those problems. And if I don't know the answer, I go find it. I'm not afraid to figure things out. You have to be, you can't be full of pride and not be able to figure things out and solve things for someone if you don't know the answer. So we have a great staff, not just here in the United States, but resources in Europe and Germany, where our headquarters is, global headquarters. They provide support to not just myself, but the rest of our team here in the United States when there's something more technical that needs to be figured out for our customers. So, and like I said before in the previous question, that's the goal, is to provide the best customer service experience we can to our customers to keep them moving, keep them making money, and just establish ourselves here in the U.S.
Right. And you mentioned that you have a big facility in Georgia. So could you talk a little bit more about the footprint and how big the team is and what are the capabilities of that team and the resources you have there?
Yeah. So right now there's four of us here in the U.S. and we see that probably growing in the next year or so from a staff perspective. The market here in the United States has been well established for our track machines, and the turf machines is where we see the market expanding from a sales perspective. And establishing ourselves here in Dalton was step one. Step two is to continue to grow and offer our machines across the United States in a lot of different markets, not just in the construction market or in the synthetic turf market, but in higher education, in municipalities, a lot of owners, let's just call them owners, but maybe managers who might be he or she who might be managing a field or responsible for doing the maintenance of those fields. So really just tapping into those markets and helping those customers understand the catalog of synthetic turf machines that we have and the resources that they can use to do what they need to do to those fields. Synthetic turf is fabulous. It offers a lot of different positive potentials for a community that has a field, but it still needs to be maintained. And once you put it in, you need to stay on top of it. And that's what our machines are built to do. They're engineered very well. And so getting into those markets so those customers understand what's available to them is really important to us. Our warehouse here in Georgia, I would say, has a few different components to it. So we had the new machine sales, which, machines come in weekly from Germany, keep our inventory stocked. So when a customer needs a machine, it's there. That's track machines and turf machines. And with those two segments, track and turf, we have three components. And it's really installation, maintenance, and then a reclamation, recycling, or removal, that last one. So, and that's applicable to both the track and the turf machines. Besides the new machine sales, we do have some used machines that we refurbish. We offer a 1-year standard warranty to those machines. So if a customer needs something, maybe like a backup machine, or they're a newer company and they maybe just might not have the resources to buy a brand new machine and they want to start off with the used one, that's an option for them as well. We do trade-in machines as well. So if a customer wants a brand new Sport Champ or a brand new paver, they could trade in their old one to us. We could take a look at the machine's value and obviously offset that with the new machine sale. And then the parts piece, right? Massive parts warehouse from, small nuts and bolts to wheels, to seats, to screed bars, to whatever the machines need, we have. And then from a staffing perspective, we have the four of us. So myself, we have Roger, who is our technical service manager. We have Dustin, who is our synthetic turf manager. And then we have Lisa, who is our administrative assistant, but wears a lot of different hats. And I would say we all wear a lot of different hats. So titles are really titles. We're just one big team and we help each other out daily. And that's the goal, right? Because if we're not working as a team, we're not helping our customers out. And that's, as I mentioned before, the most important piece, constantly helping our customers out.
Right. And from your experience in running facilities on the collegiate side, for example, how important is to get the maintenance equipment part right? Instead of like having SMG having something else or having the right equipment for the right job and so on. Like, what can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. It's collegiate athletics is an interesting world because you could get a brand new field, but it might take some time to get it. And maybe the money for that project might not include a synthetic turf maintenance machine. So just really working with the customers and helping them understand their resources and how they go about procuring things helps the process for them. A TCA 1400 or 2000 is a great tool for a collegiate athletic field, for a municipality field, for a private school, really for any field. It's an all-purpose um, machine that's ground driven and excuse me, and it's a groomer and a sweeper all at the same time. So at when you're operating the machine, you're able to do all those components of grooming, sweeping, even tining all at the same time. And that's really important in all those segments, even collegiate athletics, because, time sometimes is very limited for a field manager, and you have a lot of other responsibilities. So grooming a field and then sweeping a field and then tining a field, that's 3 times or 2 times. And with our machines, you can get it done essentially once. The other thing, and it really depends on the user and the amount of square footage this synthetic turf they have, and their capabilities from a human resource. So maybe the Turf King might be a great option for them, or the Sport Champ, where they might have a dedicated grounds crew that's part of that athletic department, where they can really hone in on some more preventive maintenance to that synthetic turf. So every athletic department is set up a little bit differently. Some have their own grounds crews, some don't. They need to work with the campus grounds crew and work with their schedule to get that done. But, at the end of the day, TCA 1400 is a all-purpose synthetic turf maintenance machine that is great option for any field owner to do the maintenance, general maintenance that they need to do on their field, especially if they need to upkeep their warranty.
Right. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you have any example of a facility where, for example, a Sport Champ or an SMG machine made a big difference, or like had some transformative effect on the facility from the maintenance point of view?
Yeah, no, there's no spot questions here, Antti. Yeah, so I would say we have a really great experience and a recent sale to the University of Oregon out in Eugene. They were looking at a Sport Champ for a few months, and we were able to go out to their facility. We worked specifically with the recreation department on this project. They had some fields that were in tandem to one of the athletic department stadiums, and it was a track stadium, and the field is used a lot by the students as they recreate club sports, intramurals, whatever. But then the fields are also kind of used as a staging area during track meets, and the University of Oregon hosts world-class collegiate athletic events and just world-class track events as well. So that field had a lot of compaction because of tents and weights. You can't stake down a tent in synthetic turf. So we were able to bring a Sport Champ out, demo it for them, and they loved it. It was a great option for them. They had the human resources from a staff perspective to operate the machine, which is, obviously a great, if you have the staff to do it, that's even better. So it's been a great partnership since then.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. How would you then, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but SMG is kind of like SMG machines is kind of like an like high level, how do you call it, like a quality brand, cost wise maybe in the higher end rather than the lower end. So how do you communicate with your clients the value that SMG brings compared to some other brands that maybe have another focus on a different price point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when you're looking at making a purchase for a house or a car, they're very similar to making a purchase for a machine. And you want quality, you want value. Our machines are engineered and made extremely well, very durable and long lasting. So the price point for our machines include the value in the engineering that's put into them. So it's warranted, and I think most customers understand it because they keep coming back to us to make machine purchases, not just because this is a synthetic turf machine or synthetic track machine. It's because of the value that they get from the established SMG brand.
Right. And in the long term, I suppose if it lasts longer and produces good work for you for many, many years, then the return on your investment is definitely positive then.
Yeah, if you want to buy something and have it last, 10 plus years, hopefully you're doing the maintenance on the machine. Hopefully you're not leaving it outside in the elements. But at the end of the day, you still have to take care of something that you purchased, like a home. Like if you purchase a
Right.
home, you still have to do some maintenance on the home to keep the value of it and keep the home working. It's the same thing with any machine. If your machine's going to operate, and over time, you might need a wheel, you might need a brush, you might need a bearing. But at the end of the day, our parts department here in the United States helps solve those problems as well.
Right. So you support the clients as well. Part of your after sales services is also like helping out with the maintenance of the actual machines so that they
Yep.
last longer.
Yep. And we're able to provide catalogs to the customers if they don't have it, help them understand what part they actually need, and then get that part out to them as soon as we possibly can so they can get back to their job.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the business a little bit and the market, the situation in the market. So where do you see the US operation for SMG heading over the next few years? You also already mentioned that there's a lot of growth and that's the expectation and target. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think our machines are well placed in the market, both from a track perspective and the turf perspective. Track's a little different than synthetic. Our synthetic track machines are obviously they're a little different because they're engineered a little differently. But with the track business, it's the machines are predominantly sold to contractors. Really, the amount of tracks that are going in or machines that they need to replace or they need to get a new crew going. When customers need our track equipment, that's kind of where we start talking, or we're thinking about buying a set of track equipment next fiscal year and they're trying to plan out their budget. The synthetic turf machines is a little different. Obviously, we work with contractors on the procurement of a lot of our different machines, whether it's a Sport Champ, TCA, a Turf King. Even some of our customers buy custom TCAs in bulk, and we help them with the colors and the branding and their marks, and then they include them in their projects, which is great for them because then they're able to activate their brand even more. They put in a great field, and then the customer can get a TCA, custom TCA from the customer who installed the field for them. So, but there's a lot of other components to the synthetic turf machine sales that we're working on actively to help increase. And we see that increasing every year for the foreseeable future. The synthetic turf maintenance component is huge. It's part of that. There's a lot of fields all across the United States and they need to be maintained. And that's where our Sport Champ comes in, or our Turf King 1502 or 1802, where a synthetic turf maintenance company can provide a more robust preventive maintenance application to that field. Decompact it, clean the infill, get organic material out of that field, the metals, whatever that might be in that infill, help stand the fibers back upright and try to get the field back to the performing way that it was spec'd out when it was installed. And then the other component of that is the municipalities, the town, the colleges, the universities that might not have anything to do the general maintenance on their field. So that could be a TCA 1400 or TCA 2000. It could be one of our turf tuners. It could be our triangle brushes, or it could be even a Sport Champ if it's a larger college or university that has the funding to procure one of those and they want to be able to do not just the general maintenance on the field, but more of a robust decompaction grooming to their field. So a lot of opportunities we see in the future for synthetic turf machine sales. That could happen on the track side as well, depending on how many projects are coming in. A lot of schools and towns want to put in a few more tracks next year across the country. We could see that grow. So our numbers are good. We love them. Obviously, the more machines we sell, the better our numbers are. But the synthetic turf maintenance machines and the sales of those we see increasing annually for the.
Is there any market segment in particular that you see promising? Like you mentioned municipalities and parks and recs, but like anything that stands out from the rest going in the short to midterm?
I think there's a door that can be opened for all of those areas, whether it's a town or municipality, a college or university. It's really trying to figure out what their needs are and getting in front of them, creating that relationship, and then working with them to see if they want to buy a machine from there. The collegiate athletic side of things, I think, has a lot of value. Obviously, my background is in collegiate athletics, but really just understanding what those schools' needs are, and if they have needs to fill, that's where our machines can come in and help them.
Do schools on the, let's say, lower level, like middle schools, high schools, do they also buy their own machinery, maintenance machinery, or do they outsource that work to some other maintenance firms, or how does that work?
It's a little bit of both. If a new field goes in, regardless of the manufacturer, it may or may not include a smaller machine like our TCA 1400 that does the grooming and the sweeping. It may not include that in the project. So after the project, the customer might need to go procure that themselves. Obviously, it's easier if the machine is included in the project because then the funding is there. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part with, I think, any organization, regardless if it's a town, municipality, college, university. If the money is included in a project and they're able to get a general purpose machine to do their maintenance, that's great. It's harder to do it after the fact. Understanding those needs and seeing if they do need a machine after the fact is important. If they're not doing the general maintenance on the field after they get the field put in, that's where problems are going to start from the very beginning if you're not paying attention to your field. But then after the fact, with the higher end machines that do the more robust decompaction maintenance grooming, that's where some of our other machines can be really valuable to some of these schools, municipalities that have maybe 500,000 square feet of synthetic turf or more, or a facility that might have 12, 18 baseball fields or softball fields or soccer fields. Those larger complexes that you see a lot of youth sports participating at, those are a great example of a facility that would benefit from a sport champ where they can do the general maintenance on the field with the machine as well as the decompaction preventive maintenance, something that's more robust.
All right. That was my final question.
That's all you got. That's great.
all I got for now. Anything else you want to add from your side regarding SMG and the operation in the US?
No, I think, it's been a great experience so far. I'm looking forward to, I haven't even come full tenure with my position yet. So, that's 6 months into the job. I started it in October, at basically the 28th of September. Right. So I started, but it's, 6, 7 months in the job. I'm loving it. And I learn something every day. I'm creating relationships with people that I don't know, people that I do know from construction areas or college athletics or municipalities. So, bringing all those people into our network and helping them understand what SMG machines can help them out with in the future is really important. And I'm looking forward to building on that every day.
All right.
Yeah.
On that note, we conclude the interview. And
Excellent.
thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's a wrap on this one. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our guests for sharing their expertise. If you're planning a sports facility project, everything you need to move forward is at sportsvenuecalculator.com. Start with our cost calculator to get a realistic estimate for your project. Browse the supplier directory to find and compare vetted companies for every part of the build. And check out our funding database to discover grants and financing options that can help make your project a reality. That's cost estimates, suppliers, and funding, all in one place at sportsvenuecalculator.com. We'll see you in the next one.